Welcome to the Right Academy. I'm Matthew R. Miller. Today we're talking about dialogue. Dialogue is reporting exactly what a character says. For example, she said, "Hello, I'm new here." Those are the exact words that she said. If you were indirectly reporting it, you'd say, "She said that she was new here." But exactly her words, she said, "I am new here." Okay? Dialogue is a very important part of a good story because it gives the reader insight into your character. Think about how we as human beings interact with the world. How do we present ourselves to the world? How do people know what kind of person we are? Well, several things: the way we dress, the way we act, what we do, our expressions. But a huge part of it is what we say, right? It's a major part of it. So, what your characters say will tell the reader a lot about your characters, will immerse the reader in the book, which is what we really want. Okay. The grammar of dialogues is very simple. You basically take this sentence. He said, "I sure am hungry today." Look how it works. He said, comma, space, open quotes, "I sure am hungry today, period, close quotes." Easy. If you put he said after the quote, it looks like this. "I sure am hungry today, comma, he said, period." And then finally, if you put it in the middle of a quote, then it's like this. "I sure am hungry, comma, he said, comma, today." Okay? It's okay. Now, we'll talk about the finer points in another. Let's talk about tips for good dialogue. First thing, you want to make a character sheet or a character sketch for each one of your characters. And you want to include things like, where is the character from and how does that influence their speech? Okay, for example, make it match. Do people from that area have a certain accent? I, for example, talk differently from someone from the Bronx, right? Different places. You're going to have often different vocabulary, different grammar, different tone, and then the character's education level will play a part in how they speak too. The words they choose. Also, who are they talking to? Friends, family, that's going to be different from if they're giving a formal presentation. Okay, so you need to know all that about each character. Number two, make each character's speech consistent throughout the story. If one of your characters speaks a certain way, have them speak that way all the time. Don't change it up, okay? Because it's going to be confusing and it's not realistic. Right? We're consistent in the way we talk. Some exceptions might be if the character has some big change or trauma, or they get an education, or they move to a new region. Fine, but otherwise, have them be consistent in the way they speak. Number three, avoid long conversations. Page after page of pure dialogue. He said, she said, he said, she said. Break up that dialogue by putting in some prose, some description, right? Describe their inner thoughts, their emotions, describe the setting, have some things happen, because a big wall of dialogue alone is not realistic, and a lot of readers find it off-putting. Number four, how do you know what to make the characters say? Well, here's a good rule. Everything a character says, everything that any character says, that all characters say, should have a purpose in the book or the story. It should drive the plot, or explain other characters, or affect other characters, or have something to do with the story, or show the reader more insight into the character who's speaking. So it needs to have a purpose. Don't just have them speaking because you think you have to. Number five, make each character's dialogue unique enough, distinguishable enough, so that people could theoretically read the dialogue without a he said or she said and figure out who's talking. Okay. So I said that the dialogue of one character, their speech should be consistent with that character. And what I'm saying here is that each character is going to have consistent dialogue for that particular character. Your character should be different enough, unique enough, so that, the reader can tell who's saying what. You don't want a bunch of characters who are all exactly the same. That's redundant. There's no purpose. Number six, dialogue tags. This is things like he said, she said, he yelled, she explained, things like that. Different writers have different theories on this. Some say never use them. Some say use them as much as possible. I'll give you my thoughts on this. I think you should use dialogue tags. You can leave them out sometimes, but use them for two basic reasons. One, when you have to distinguish who's saying what in a long conversation, or situations where it's not immediately obvious. Number two, to flavor the dialogue. He said is different from he yelled, or he growled, or she sang, she complained, she offered. They interrupted. So you don't have to just use said. You can use, there's all sorts of words that describe speech, and these can flavor the dialogue, not only the words, what they're saying, but how they say it. It's one way to do it without using excessive adverbs. Don't always use dialogue tags. Sometimes it can be it can be too much. If every single sentence is he said, she said, sometimes the reader's like, okay, I know they're the only two people talking here. I know who said that. The next one's got to be the other person. So don't use them all the time. Use them in those situations to distinguish when it's necessary who's saying what and to flavor the speech. Finally, here's a really practical tip for good dialogue. Once you write it, say it aloud, preferably with another person, like you're reading a script, a screenplay. Say it aloud. That'll tell you if it sounds natural or not. If you say it aloud and it's very unnatural sounding, you'll say, oh, people don't really talk like that, and you need to change it. If it flows like a regular conversation, then probably it's good dialogue. Get a partner to have the partner read the other part and read it back and forth. That's a really good way to know if your dialogue sounds realistic. Okay, dialogue, very important. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. I'm Matthew Miller. You are here at the Write Right Academy.